Now that we know that on the Mueller report basically told us there's no Russia collusion, the Attorney General found, based on what he found in the report, that there was no obstruction. A lot of people are actually going further behind the scenes. That's something we've been reporting on for a while, and actually you've been very interested in for some time. We've been watching that. And but before I jump into that, what people call Spygate or Setupgate is another moniker that I've heard. I wanted to talk about this House Judiciary Committee hearing that you were basically cut off at. What do you think that was all about?
Well, something is going on very strange in the House Judiciary Committee. They're actually trying to have impeachment in drag. They don't want to call the hearings impeachment hearings, but they want to make them look and feel as much like impeachment as possible, despite the lack of underlying evidence that would support it. So at the last hearing, I had a series of questions about the processes and procedures that the committee was using, the extent to which they departed from our normal practices, and they really were an effort by the committee to dress up oversight activity to be as negative toward the president as possible. I couldn't even get recognized by the committee chairman to ask those legitimate procedural questions, because I think what's happening with my Democratic colleagues right now is that they're so flummoxed with the lack of underlying facts to support what they've been saying to the American people for the last 2 years, that they've lost control over their management of the House of Representatives.
Impeachment in drag, that's quite the imagery. So actually, we had a headline, and this is very apropos. Yesterday or today, House Democrats plan contempt vote on Attorney General Barr for following the law, and so this would. I think you get what's being suggested here. Do you agree?
That's clearly what's happening. General Barr is stuck between the law and a group of angry Democrats trying to justify their lies over the last 2 years. The Attorney General is not allowed to release information if that information is linked to grand jury activity in the absence of court approval to do so. And so Democrats have now made a demand that he do that. The law doesn't allow him to do that, and they're using this to manufacture a constitutional crisis in their mind, or discord between the executive and legislative branch. They're literally trying to go and pick fights where none need occur, because the Attorney General has already released 92% of the Mueller report. Even more is available to Chairman Nadler if he'd like to go review it. He hasn't taken the opportunity to do that, and so they're trying to make it look like this great source of discord, but it's this mouse of an issue that roars like a lion.
Can he even be held in contempt for refusing to break the law?
Congress can hold anybody in contempt that they'd like to for any purpose, and as a matter of fact, Eric Holder was held in contempt because he refused to show up, he refused to produce documents and answer questions about Fast and Furious, a terrible scandal that was uncovered by Republicans in Congress who were engaged in diligent oversight. Here, it would be very bizarre for the legislative branch of government to hold someone in contempt in the executive branch of government, when if the person in the executive branch did what Congress wanted, he could potentially be in trouble with the judicial branch of government. And so again, it is a manufactured crisis. Here's what we ought to do. We ought to take the Mueller findings on the collusion at face value. We ought to take the legal analysis from America's top lawyer, the Attorney General, on obstruction at face value. And then we've got to figure out how in the world this happened. How did we get to a point where political opposition research, supplied by a known liar British spy, funded by political opponents, overseen by Obama officials in the White House, and then polluted by Russians trying to undermine the American election, how that became the fuel for an investigation that really should have sputtered out very quickly. And I think that'll tell the true story of where we need to make reforms in this country so that this never happens again.
So
there was no collusion, no obstruction, and no charge of obstruction. But actually, what did he look at? When did he actually come to the conclusion that there was no obstruction? When did he actually decide that there were issues that we didn't look into the dossier more? These are the kind of questions we want to see. But it is interesting that the chairman of my committee, Chairman Nadler, has talked about getting Mueller there, and Then he talks to him some more, and we're still not having here. So I think the interesting thing here, Maria, is Democrats are becoming more and more concerned about what they're finding out. They did not get out of the Mueller report what they wanted. They don't like an attorney general who's actually doing his job. And now they're beginning to worry that if Mueller comes in and just confirms what they have, they're in a tough political position. And I think that is the problem that they're facing now is what do they do with what they promised when they went out over their skis and said, all this is going to be proven and Donald Trump is guilty. Now they're having to deal with reality.
And that's one reason that you've been releasing a lot of transcripts of these closed-door testimonies so that the American people can understand exactly what was said during these testimonies. Are you going to be releasing more testimonies?
We will be. We're making that final case right now. We're getting it all together, but we will be soon, Maria.
Are you going to be releasing Andrew McCabe's testimony?
He'll be part of the group that is released, yes.
So I wonder, because I know you spoke to Andrew McCabe early on. I'm wondering if you believe that Attorney General Bill Barr should have Andy McCabe come down and speak to him.
Well, I think that'll be what the process that the Attorney General is actually looking into as we go forward. So I'm sure he'll be caught up with the questions of just how this got started. Bill Barr's made it very clear. I want to see how this started. I want to know how this progressed, and I want to know how it actually is coming to play, because what he is undoubtedly he has seen, and there's nothing to doubt Bill Barr's honesty. There's nothing to doubt his truthfulness. He's been truthful in everything that he has said so far to everyone. So I think he is really taking this in a very panoramic view. He's looking at it from all sides, and he said, I want my folks to look at this and determine, was there something wrong? If there was something wrong, they will be held accountable, and that it won't happen again.